sorry. I just shampooed all over fucking Sean's.
Oh my god.
The worst is when someone spits on you, and wasn't doing that for a personal reason. I just couldn't control my the stuff coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
So Sean's face is just dejection. It's like I can't even be angry. It's just, I'm just working with a handicapped person.
Rabies. Yeah.
I'm sorry I spit on you, Sean.
It's okay.
Do you have a problem sometimes in the front row? I've spit on people sometimes when I'm doing stand-up.
1,000%. I've seen it. I've seen at a show on the road a direct speaking of JFK, a direct a magic bullet spit.
You're like, no, it wasn't me. It was the comic in back of me in the bush. What a transition, guys. It's time for Sean's Grassy Knoll. Some new revelations in the JFK assassination.
So if you don't know, real quick, the background.
I'm going to do a background of what just happened now.
No,
and then
my history with it.
Yeah, I want to go into that, but I just want to say what happened today. This week.
Okay, cool, yeah.
This week is Trump, for whatever reason, he's deciding to release 80,000 JFK documents. Yesterday, I think he was up to 70,000, but historians have said there's 4,700 that aren't coming out no matter what.
Right.
So it's like, well, I don't think you need more than 4,700 pages to plan a conspiracy. But anyway, Sean was obsessed with the JFK assassination. Sean, I want to hear your opinion on what happened and what you think of this new evidence.
I still, it's one of these things where I full on, so what it was is I was obsessed with this, but I was one of the, I told you another time on the podcast, I actually do think it was Oswald, and I think it was a conspiracy. It was a conspiracy of ineptness. But I think they doing this now. What was the highlights? They're saying what's the takeaway from this?
There's so far they're just going through the documents. So the last time I checked, they're still going through it.
The other question is, whenever they do these, they're like, here's 60,000 documents, playing on the idea that nobody wants to read 60,000 documents.
No, but there's one guy who's like looks a lot like me, who's going through all the.
But I think that what they're going to find out is they're withholding 4,700. So you're always going to keep that air of the conspiracy anyway, because they'll be like, all right, what's in those 4,700 documents? Everybody's dead. Everybody's dead. So it's got to be because of this. It's like government inner working. So it's like one of the theories. Who had this? Henry. One of the theories is that it was accidental, right? Isn't one of the big theories that one of the Secret Service guys did it?
That was one of the theories, is that he was trying to protect him, and in doing so, he shot him.
Right, exactly. But if you're to believe the Peter Jennings special, which is it's based on the Mark Lane book, it's called Case Closed, which is the Mark Lane book from years and years ago. One thing the other books never mention is that car, the back seat where they were, the back seat where JFK was and Jackie Onassis was 6 inches higher than the one next to it. And the minute you do that, they're like the schematics. It's a direct line from. And then if that's it, then it's case closed. It's done.
And to your point, I've been to Dallas. I've been to the book depository. It's a clear shot. It's a clear shot if you're sitting there.
It was a big deal for me to go there. It really gives you perspective.
It's literally like looking down.
We could do it. I could do it.
You could maybe do it. I could not do it.
You don't think so?
No, I would shoot myself in the face. I would get
private pile. D'Onofrio from Full Metal Jacket.
I would shoot.
Sucking your thumb.
It would bounce off JFK back into me. That's what would happen. I couldn't do it. Now, can you go back to the doc, Pat? Because there is a theory, though, because I've heard, your theory makes a lot of sense, and I've been there, so I get this. Actually, can you actually go to the doc, because it's got the names on it? That's what I need. But there's another guy. I've been obsessed with Danny Sheehan. He's the lawyer for Luis Elizondo. He was Karen Silkwood's lawyer, Pentagon Papers. He's done a lot. Sean's probably about to pop my bubble about him. I like him a lot, and this is his breakdown of the JFK assassination.
He's the Gloria Allred of a conspiracy theorist.
They have similar hair. No, they don't actually. Okay, so Alan Dulles, who was out of the CIA at the time, was coordinating this. That Nixon knew about it. That Johnson knew about it. That those are the two that knew about it. Essentially it was one of Castro's hit squads, led by Felix Rodriguez, and they were financed by Brown Brothers Harriman, who, that's George H.W. A lot of the people who founded this country, like big banks and stuff like that. So they were given money by those guys. It was coordinated by Alan Dulles, and then ironically, Bobby wanted Alan Dulles on the case, I believe, later on.
Yeah.
But that's the reason this all came to be is he was talking about Nixon, and he said the reason Nixon was so terrified about Watergate, it wasn't that that they were going to discover the stuff on the campaign. It's that they were going to discover that he played a lot of role as far as like Cuban coups before this.
Wow.
Like he didn't have anything to do with the Dallas with the assassination, but the first Castro Bay of Pigs, he has a lot to do with that. So he thinks that they were basically like, well, fuck, no one's going to believe me if they realize that I was connected to these people that were connected. They're going to think that I set up JFK.
Absolutely. And also, there's a famous photo, which I'm sure you've seen, of Johnson getting sworn in on the plane, and Jackie Nice is next to him, and he's looking at, I think, the Secretary of State or somebody, and he's smiling and winking. It's like you can probably look it up.
If you knew Lyndon Johnson, though, like he could have done that. Like he's a prick,
right?
He was a total prick. He was like known as a hammer in the Senate, but no one liked him.
Right. But the weird thing is, didn't he did one the next term, and then that was it, right? He didn't run again.
He finished JFK's, and then he did one,
right,
and then he didn't run again because Vietnam was so unpopular.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. He was like a political hack. Like he was like a hardcore
total political hack.
Yeah. But there's this. But when I was in the thick of it, one of the the conspiracy guys, their main evidence is like, look at this photo, and it does look like he's on a plane. The guy just got shot, and he is smiling in the picture.
Well, he always hated JFK.
Right.
So
right.
like, and I'm sure he's like, was probably like looking at that guy, being like, that played fucking Marilyn Monroe, and I'm sitting here in this fucking ceremonial position. Well, that's it, because I read the Robert Caro book, Passage to Power. That's like one of the big. It's a fantastic book. He wrote his whole life. He wrote about Lyndon Johnson, amazing writer. But when he became vice president, he was the majority leader of the Senate, so he had immense power.
Yeah,
he had no power as a vice president, so he would like go to the Senate and like hang out, and then he'd be like, really don't have to be here, man. Like he wanted in real bad, I don't think that he was.
It's just way more serious Veep with Julie Louise Dreyfus.
It really is.
They're just pretty much parallels. But so I read everything I can get my hands on when I was 16 to 18 probably. I read every different book.
The fucking conspiracy. Sorry, I'm laughing still.
What'd you say?
I'm still laughing at the Gloria Allred.
It's true. He always comes forward with these.
He just look when you see this guy's like Jerry curl, like it's the fucking from Coming to America, the day glow. It's like that shit.
The Soul Glow.
Soul Glow. Like he's using Soul Glow, but very smart guy. Very smart guy.
But for some reason, it happened with Elizondo too. I do believe Elizondo, but when he came out with the soul patch, I'm like, you're kind of losing me a little bit. like
that Guy Fieri look, dude. Those guys don't have like a lot of
Oakley
options.
Guys, yeah, exactly.
It's like intense Oakleys that were for like a 22-year-old, but you're 55.
Yeah, exactly right. And Danny Sheehan, it's like you have like an old timey like English court wig on top of your head. Like you have when they have the barristers, they wear those wigs. That's what he looks like.
Oh, he totally looks like.
It was like Amadeus.
He looks like a portrait of John Adams.
That's exactly right.
He's a ridiculous looking person.
But we can go at JFK in a sec. But yeah, he has this. He really seems to be the guy people come to like get this information out there. The other guy that he had was the story we talked about maybe a few episodes ago, where somebody from the military, was anonymous, came to him and said they were inside a craft and the outside was 40 feet tops, like whatever, and the inside it was like it changed perception where it was the size.
Jacques Vallée says that too. I mean, which I heard from you before I heard from them, which you heard from them.
But he was also that guy's lawyer as well. So this guy just has his hand. I think people just go to him and then he like.
I mean, those are pretty big, but like Pentagon Papers, Karen Silkwood, Lisa Elizondo, these are big.
They're big things.
These aren't like, this isn't ambulance chasing. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, it's not.
This isn't Stormy Daniels.
No, it's not. This guy's legit. He's definitely legit.
He's legit.
But then once you have his cockapoo hair shows up. Once this guy comes
What's
up,
old foghorn leghorn? Starts spouting out in the chicken coop.
I say it was a conspiracy.
I say it's a reptilian or a grey.
JFK was a lizard.
Well, JFK had more syphilis in his head than me.
So, but now he has this. Now he's the guy people go to for this kind of stuff. And if you're putting your finger in that many things, you're not losing credibility, but
But Danny, do our podcast.
Yeah, 1,000%.
I already emailed him this week.
Please do our podcast.
I got 2 emails from him, but they were just from his website.
But don't listen to the past 5 minutes. Just do our podcast.
No, don't worry. No one listens. That would be funny. Actually, shout out Finn Balor listened, so shout out. We got a wrestling fan, but
thank you, Finn.
But yeah, I thought he was legit. So you would still err on the side of it was Oswald. It was just Oswald.
So I think, like you were saying before, I think you had I think it was a conspiracy of ineptness. It's proven. It's and I think what they're going to find out is there's another reason. What you're going to find out about a lot of these documents is that they knew, but they were like, it was almost like the 9/11 thing where they're like, hey, these warnings were coming in about this, but they're like, hey, warnings coming in about a lot of things. But I think back then, him and his brother were going to bust up the CIA. So if you're CIA and this stuff comes in and then you ignore it, even if it is for professional reasons, because you're like, it seems crackbody, and then this happens, you look like it's that you had a hand in it. You know what I'm saying? Like you fucked up. And the FBI is the same boat.
And I would say this, to your point, I think that since 9/11, there's been way more damning stuff that have come out about 9/11 than the JFK assassination. Not as far as like I don't think it was an inside job or anything, but I'm just talking about getting Saudi members out of the country and avoiding any of the consequences.
That's why these things blow up, because there's always pieces that are true.
But no one cares about that, even though it's all proven to be true.
Right, exactly.
You know?
It's like, but now, and also even now, like, but dude, it's like, hey, I'm willing to be convinced, because all the stuff we talk about, the retrieval program and all this, that I believe that now. So this can all be true as well. Like, I'm not going to trust anything. We're at the lowest point with our government where people are like, oh yeah, I believe what they have to say about X, Y, and Z. So, but it makes sense when this kind of stuff happens, where what you're going to find out is like, I think you're gonna find out more people knew than you think they knew, and they were like, well, we only have this one little lead on it. We don't have any hard evidence, so we kind of just put it by the wayside. But then it happened, so we look inept.
Interesting. In that vein, like I was just listening to a David Grush podcast before I got here, and one of the things that he says, and a few people, it's like you'd be amazed at how many secrets are still kept. He's like, there are a bunch of secrets that have.
So no, I think it's the tip of the iceberg.
Oh yeah. So what I'm trying to say is like, it is interesting to be like, well, what are like? Of course you're like, well, what are these fucking things? But it makes you like is everything I know fucking bullshit? Like
exactly. So you're right. Exactly. Well, even when you have Gulf of Tonkin got proved, and you have MI. No, and what's the one with not MI?
MK Ultra.
MK Ultra, and all this, and it's like. And then what you forget is for years they were like, this is as much of a conspiracy as this. Like they were like, if this is but these crackpots, they get these ideas, UFOs, crackpots, and now they're like, not so much.
Well, also because they give like the Soviets and us gave money to a bunch of different programs, so it's like some of those are bullshit. So it's like, oh, they're bullshit. Like Russia, they're like, oh, they train monkeys. I'm like, well, yeah, that was one thing they did. But there's like they tried to do a Stalin tried a monkey army, but there's a bunch. He was throwing a bunch of shit at the wall because he had an unlimited budget. So
they're just constantly. I think it's a lot of stuff we don't know because they're throwing stuff against the wall, and whatever sticks might stick, and that becomes like these hardcore programs that with like deep cover programs that you're never going to find out about because it's so secretive. But then what it comes out later on is all the ones that didn't work out. Like an MK Ultra, like technically didn't work out, but like they made.
Well, we don't know.
We don't know. We think elements of it seem to work.
That's what they say about the CIA. It's like you only hear about the failures because you don't. With the CIA, you don't hear about the successes because our nature of the program is secret. But I also think I'm like, well, we know about Argo. Like we know about a couple of the
of
the wins. I think that
they're
just because like there's this Legacy of Ashes is a really great book on the history of the CIA. I think they say that to be like, well, there's a bunch of great shit we did that we can't talk about. Like imagine if you did that with Megan, or if I did that with my wife, and she's like, hey, you didn't take the garbage out, you didn't make the bed, you haven't taken care of the dogs. I'm like, well, I've been doing a lot of stuff. I can't talk to you about it, but I've been doing a lot of stuff for this marriage, a lot of things that you can't see right now
I've been keeping us
because
safe.
you're so narrow. You're so tunnel visioned. You don't see the big picture of this marriage I'm building.
No, but that's exactly right. There was a when I don't have TikTok anymore, but when I had it, there was a girl. She was like guy's daughter, and she was like asking a former spy, I think it was CIA, the questions everybody wants to know, and this guy. Like I said, with the boring thing, you hear this guy talking, you're like, this guy's the real fucking deal. And she was like, what do you what are you the most scared of? And he said, a word I never heard was solipsism. You know, I think it's solipsism where it's like,
when we thought that the sun revolves around you.
Exactly. So he was like, she's like, do you think, are you aliens and UFOs real? And he's like, yeah, they're real. And he says it. That's it. He just says that. Like, and I'm like, yeah. If you watch these clips, I'll try to find them.
Yeah.
If you watch these clips, you're like, this guy definitely has way more info, and he like doesn't gives away just the right amount of info. It's pretty impressive because it's very like very like very digestible.
Well, there's one guy that I've been watching, and apparently he doesn't do stuff anymore because apparently people thought he was bullshit. But it's that guy who said he worked on Area 51 and S4.
Not Bob Lazar. Not Lazar.
No, the bald guy who said he worked with the alien J-Rod, and he's almost like he looks like one of the prisoners in Alien 3.
No, you mean no? Is it Richard Doty, the guy with the mustache? Who said he was part of the disinformation campaign?
No, I know Richard Doty. This is a different guy. I'll send it to you later.
And now they're saying he's bullshit. That's what I mean. Like, and then what you have to wonder is like so Richard Doty was a guy who came out and said his job was to be like to give info that was wrong, so that it was proven wrong later on. So everybody scrapped the whole thing.
That was Mirage Men.
Yeah. So then what ended up happening was he came out later and he's like, that was my job to like do a disinformation. So it's a real thing. So this is why it's such a fucking crapshoot. All this, they're gonna go through 60,000 documents, and anything they say, you're gonna go, hey, nothing was. They're gonna go, nothing was in it. Like with Edward Snowden.
There's
being
4,700 they're not showing us. So it's like we're never
exactly.
unless we see all of them. The questions will never be unless we see every bit of information, which gets more impossible the farther away you get from the incident. It's good. It's like we're gonna talk about Jack the Ripper at the end of the show. The farther you away from something, the less clear it becomes.
Right.
So we're never gonna know. That's my point.
How many years? This is 70 years ago.
Almost 70 years
ago.
Yeah.
This is so long. Everybody's dead. It's one of these things where, believe me, when I was in the 90s, when it was hot because of the movie, there's so many things that I was like, if by itself, you were like, oh my God, this really, they had testimony from prisoners across the way from Oswald that said, as a group, we're watching him do it. And then and there was two guys that were in the fucking depository. They have when the House Committee on Assassinations in the 70s came up, they were like it was a fact when they were shown the newspaper that day that had the parade route, and like they were shown blocked out. They got rid of the parade route on the newspaper.
Also, Dallas is a shady fucking city.
It's weird. It's a weird.
I mean,
place.
like I remember when I was sitting there, I was doing hyenas. Fuck that guy. He canceled me for my second week. But like the guy was like, "Hey, sir, can I help?" He was like the hotel manager with a big mustache. Can I help you with anything you want? And I was like, did you kill JFK? Like, in my head, I'm like, I feel like you're like the fixer in this town. But we're never gonna know. I think that it's fun to talk about. I think that JFK, you know, he's always good. He's like the James Dean of politicians. It's always going to be the what could have been. You know, Obama, we kind of know where it's like, well, we elected him, but then we didn't get the health care we wanted, and we got into a bunch of other wars. You know, so but like with Kennedy, we don't know. We don't know. It was like a year or two. He was only 2 years in, so who knows how he would have turned out?
Who knows what he would have got with later JFK? Like you had Fat Elvis before he died. You had Fat JFK.
Yeah, Fat JFK.
yeah, just retired.
I mean, his head. He must have had syphilis or gonorrhea. I know
he did. He had one of them.
He had one of them,
and he had a crazy thing where he was always in immense pain because he had some kind of I forget what.
It was a war thing. It was a war thing.
Yeah.
When men were men. All right.
But great statesman.
Well, time to talk about women, and that's Julie McFadden, a nurse, experienced telepathy from a hospice situation. This is in the UK. Now, here's my disclosure. I wanted to talk about this because it's very nice. The story's very nice. But she also has a YouTube channel. So I think that's a big slash against.
That kind of goes. We should set up our rules for believing, non-believing when we talk about this. For like motive, and exactly.
And by the way,
right.
okay, like an example, like if you say, "Well, Sean and Dan believe me," we don't mean anything. We run a paranormal podcast.
Yeah.
We're less than we're a little bit higher than schizophrenic on the street. She's about where we are. Hospice nurse Julie.
Yeah, we're doing.
And she's got a book she wants to fucking sell.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, you can poke so many holes in this because of this exact reason.
We should tell what happened. She basically said that this guy was communicating telepathically and saying like, oh my God, this feels amazing. You don't know how amazing this. It's basically all the stuff we want to hear.
Yeah.
Before we die, which is, oh my God, there's a light and I feel a part of something, and I feel this serotonin in me. And you want it to be true. But that's what I mean, like all these stories.
It's not like the guy was like just coming. She's like, he telepathically came in my head.
He's just like pan out and he's just like fappening all over.
Fappening. But so I don't know if
that would be funny. He's like, oh, your mother's here, and that girl Cheryl from the store, and she's wearing a nice potted blouse and are you jerking off while you're entering heaven? No, don't worry about it.
But it reminded me of a story. So I always mention that documentary series Surviving Death, which there were a couple of these episodes I really, really enjoyed, that like near-death experiences. The reincarnation one was great, but with near death, they also had one about talking to the dead, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And they discussed, there was a guy who was a hospice nurse at the point of the documentary, but he said when he was starting out and he was like a brand new like hotshot doctor and he was a lot of ego, he said he worked in a hospice wing for one of his jobs, and he said that a nurse, there was a woman who was older, and the nurse came up to him. She goes, "Hey, we're gonna." She's like, she spoke to her grandmother last night, so we're gonna make preparations to tell the family that, hey. Mm-hmm. And he goes, well, there's this. I want to try this drug on her. I want to do this, blah, blah. And then the nurse stops him and goes, you didn't hear me. She spoke to her grandmother last night, and that's it. She'll be dead, but in a couple of days it'll be it. And she was dead a day later. So it's like, that's what I mean. Like you have. Like, I'm sure she's not bullshitting, because I think nurses have all these fucking stories, just like the teachers and telepathy tapes have all those stories. We're like, yeah, just common knowledge for us. It just happens.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it's true. One of the things during the pandemic, I got my hospice certificate, like volunteer.
Did you really?
I did, yeah. I also wrote 2 shows that didn't go and wrote on a show no one watched. But the hospice one, I still have that certificate. That's actually a finite thing I can look at. But
that would actually be a great show for you. You as a hospice
it's just me visiting my shows. My shows. Oh, you're not gonna go. Sorry. I know there's gonna be some excitement about this, but your line producer's gonna get me too, and it's not gonna get past. No,
I mean like you as the person that's with somebody right before they die. It's just Dan, just eating ranch. People are like, I think I see my mother, and Dan's like, oh, really? You do? Oh.
She fucking hot, bro. I did what my job was. I would bring my dogs. I had Goldie at the time, and she was a little puppy.
What are you, Richard Belzer?
No, they would want to see the dogs, but because it was still COVID rules, they wouldn't let me in with the dog. So I would stand outside an old person's window, just holding a dog while they cried and reached out to touch the dog, but they couldn't because there was a glass panel in between us. And I'm like, I think this is worse than if I wasn't here.
You tortured them.
I just tortured them. I got a certificate in just torturing old people.
That's way worse.
It was way worse.
What are they going to get? Rabies from the dogs before they fucking go?
I think it's because they were just nervous. Well, that was the time where like COVID was like knocking out like 26 people in a nursing home and stuff. Yeah. So I get it.
And at one point, a couple of dogs got COVID, I think. Were dogs testing positive for COVID at some point?
I don't know. I think I don't know. I don't know. Have you ever had anything at all? Like seeing some, like feeling a presence, seeing like being around someone when they're dying, feeling anything of that? I didn't have that with my mom was a different situation, but like you didn't have it with your dad.
No.
I was around my uncle when he died, and he just died. There wasn't like a,
it was one of the things I regret. I was upstairs. My mom came out and she's like, I don't think your dad's going to make the morning. And I was like, she always would overreact. And I was like, yeah, you're overreacting. It's actually, today's the day that he died. And it's been 25 years. But and she goes, he's not gonna make this morning. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll be down. I was like, she's just overreacting. And by the time I got down there, he was gone. But even afterwards, everybody's waiting around and we're crying. It's a whole big thing. Waiting around for like the hospice people and all that. And there was nothing that, people have these stories where they're like, this happens. They see a like an actual physical thing come off the body, like it's like an energy type scenario where they say that and it's a lot of nurses have stories like that, where like a white, not even an orb.
I'd love to see something like that.
It would make me. It would make me religious, but it would make me, like we talked about it, like it would make me not fear death as much.
I don't fear, since getting into this topic, I don't fear death the same way I did.
That's
been
either.
The one benefit of this.
Because I think that there's a lot of truth to this stuff, but I also think that I want to get on board. I want to have the fact that I didn't feel anything, like, I've been around death a handful of times, but like, the fact that I've never had one of these experiences, I'm like, ooh, I think I'm too closed off to it. I think I am not in the right frequency. So I want to get to a point where I'm on the right frequency.
For sure. Well, they say straight guys, it's really, so we're going to have to start kissing.
You know what it is also? Only thing I've had that comes close is corner of the eye stuff. I've seen like on the other corner of my eye that I could have sworn was there.
I have that, but I think that's just
I think
fragmentation.
that's just perspective, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Big news for you cryptid lovers out there. There's a big push right now. New legislation to make Bigfoot California's official cryptid. Who the fuck else would it be besides Bigfoot in California?
It would be Jeff
Robert
Goldblum.
Blake. I don't know. Like, I guess Charles Manson.
Jason Momoa.
Jason Momoa. It looks a little like it. I mean, if you ever go up the California coast, because I drove from LA to the Redwoods, and there's just there's Bigfoot spots
It's their industry.
It's their industry.
It's like I've heard how Roswell is, where it's like that's their tourism. It's like it makes sense.
I want to go to Roswell, but it really, the thing about like California, it's like you go to a Bigfoot spot, you're like, well, I'm still in the beauty of
Roswell. You're like, oh, fuck.
I go to Guitar Center, like I don't know what else am I gonna do in fucking Roswell? Like, is there good hiking?
We shoot cans.
Shoot really old cans.
Yeah, like
and
antique
yell,
cans.
Pa, someone's driving down the road. And then everyone from town runs out
to greet them. It's like Blazing Saddles.
The Bill's number is 666. Very cute.
So I say we give California the Bigfoot. Why? Because Pacific Northwest has claim to it as well, and
I just think
Oregon
California.
has it,
Is
Washington
there anything else
it.
that would be more California cryptid-y than Bigfoot? I don't think there's anything else.
No. And also the other cryptids are like Mothman is like an East Coast thing, right? That was like Virginia.
And it's like the Jersey Devil. It's like all once you get past Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster, they're exponentially shittier.
Yes.
Beast of Bray Road.
It's like the B Team. It's like the Netflix series of cryptids. Like one of them, Luke Cage.
Yeah, Medium Foot.
Medium Foot.
Yeah, it really is a drop down once you get past a couple of them. Like even because Slender Man's not even a thing. That's like an amalgamation of a bunch of crazy girls' ideas.
That was just them. They just made it to torture
They just made
people,
that
right?
up. So they could kill that girl, the tulpa they sacrificed. I think history is going to prove them right. I'm just joking. Let's get to the next one, Pat.
We what's the word we did it with the Henry podcast with a tulpa, where like
Tulpa.
Slender Man might become a tulpa at some point. It was talked about enough.
And then they just found out, it's just another woman with an eating disorder.
It's just Karen Carpenter's ghost.
God, I saw a picture of her before she died. Holy shit.
It's bad.
It's really
I've seen
bad.
That. Yeah,
dude.
it's bad.
I've seen that too. Like I saw like one of the I'm not gonna say it, but there's like a famous YouTuber and I saw a picture of her and I'm like, they're like, she's looking at, I'm like, she's fucking anorexic. She has to be starving herself.
Yes.
All right, we're taking a left of Supernatural Road and getting into the bleak reality of humanity, right? Delphi murders update. The website supporting Richard Allen has released a longer video, which I don't think helps him at all. I've seen the video. It's like 15 seconds. I don't know. I think because it's a better look of him, but I think it looks more like Richard Allen. Like I don't understand why they would release this if they thought that this was going to be. And I was not like Henry. I really thought that they were kind of railroading this guy. But now after seeing this video, I'm like, maybe they weren't railroading him.
When we first got to the studio, you were like, hey, there might be something to him at not
That's
being
the first
him.
one.
And what is he?
Yes, because they basically tortured him. And he was eating his own shit. And I think all that stuff was And there was members of the Odin cult in that jail. Like some of the stuff that he was talking about turned out to be true.
And this is the new video, right? So
this is the new video, I believe. She's filming rocks.
And then for a second, the girl.
Yeah.
And then it goes to him, but it's way more HD. How did they get this way better video on the other girl's phone or something, or the?
I guess I'm not sure. I think that like some of it was probably evidence for trial, and now it can be released because
so is you can
it's
you update
FOA
us?
or something.
Is he convicted? He's in.
He's
convicted.
in. He needs to have a new trial. Now this is the new. Yeah, she's back, and then he's like right in back of her. But I mean, it's still creepy as fuck because you're like, wow, these girls are about to die.
It's super creepy, and it's really sad. And this guy, and also it's like, hey, him eating his own shit tracks with him murdering two people. You know what I'm saying?
That's
like,
the thing
mental,
too.
Even if it's a mental break, it still happens. You know, like
I know
it tracks. On the tracks, it tracks.
I will say this video did not help him.
No, I don't. It looks the same to me.
It looks that's it's a little bit longer. He sounds the same.
Also, can't they like almost like maybe he got rid of the clothes and like do it off gate of walk and like you know what I'm saying like
the gate of walk. Well, the gate of the walk that's the big one they use for prosecuting him. But I mean they didn't arrest him until like 5 years after 5 or 6 years after that. So
I didn't realize
he probably had a lot of time to get away with it. Yeah. They were down a bunch of different rabbit holes, and the reason they were down a bunch of rabbit holes is because there's a bunch of weird shit about the case. There was a cult connected to the case. Like everything they said about it was true, but he still very well could have killed them too. So
you at the point you still think he got railroaded?
I'm 50-50. I mean,
you think there's a chance he didn't do it?
I mean, whenever I got to remember, like after I read those trial, like the details of like what he went through and how little evidence was. Like I still think there's something fucking going on there. I think that there's something they're keeping something. I mean, the thing that was eye-opening to me is he was talking about Odinism, and everyone's like, "This guy's crazy," and then they found the Odinism security guards at the jail. He was saying they're here, and then they found the Odin patches, on these guards.
And what remind me again? What is
that's a white supremacist pagan religion that people in that area, some fringe groups follow.
So the whole idea is that they're the ones responsible,
and I thought that
they set him up.
Yeah, and I thought because we didn't know anything about the details of the murders that he had like dismembered them, and there was much more sexual stuff going on. I mean, it was terrible what they did. He slit their throats, but it wasn't as. But I'm like, okay, well that checks out with a ritual, not really a violent crime.
No,
if it's just a one cut thing rather than if it's a prime passion, sometimes there's like 30 fucking stab wounds.
That's what they usually end up that way.
Yeah,
there was another one recently. Somebody got stabbed 25 times or whatever it was.
Yeah,
that usually happens. It's usually like that angry male hate. I hate all women, so I'm going to kill.
And this was just one incision. Well, maybe it was two, but it wasn't like. It was he was doing it for purpose. I mean, obviously, but anyway, who fucking knows?
The fact of the matter is, it's like, it's probably that he did it, and then the other stuff is coincidence. Like, you know what I mean? Like, especially if you think he looks that video, the clear one makes it look even more like.
It doesn't help him. No.
Yeah.
Speaking of not helping yourself, accused Gilgo Beach killer Rex Heuermann kept New York Post article other clippings about the murders. Prosecutors, serial killers listening to the show. I'm speaking to you right to camera. I'm going to give you one bit of advice.
Vision board.
Okay, one bit of advice, and that is, don't keep trophies. That's how they get you every time. Is that you keep it? I understand. You pulled off your little murder. Nobody found out. But don't keep her fucking driver's license. Don't keep a newspaper photo of the crime. People are going to know it's you.
Well, Dan, on behalf of serial killers, I'd really like to thank you for trying to help them get away with the crime.
One of the, they're one of the more marginalized groups in our society. Serial killers and trans people.
Yes, yeah. Let's lump them together.
Serial killers kill a lot of trans people.
SKTG.
SKTG. Sounds right after Family Matters. But yeah, so he kept. I mean, everything about this guy is he's for me, I'm like Richard Allen. I'm like, I don't know. Everything about this guy just makes him guiltier and guiltier. Like every time there's a new update, it's like, hey, yeah, we're changing that from 6 to 7 bodies. Okay. Like it's never like, ooh, this happened here. I mean, there's been crazy things about this case. Like there's a ambulance chasing lawyer who's like trying to hint that the whole family was a serial killing family. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think that. I think you're.
Is that his, but not his lawyer, somebody else?
It's somebody else.
Yeah,
You know, it's the guy. It's
Just to
always a
get
guy with a. It's always a lawyer with a ponytail.
Yeah.
You know, if they don't have the Jerry curls, they have the ponytails.
But also, you were saying before we started, like, it tracks because he's Long Island. You said Tim Dillon was telling you. It's like,
yeah, well,
oh,
Tim Dillon
loudmouth.
goes, you know how they called him? Fucking loudmouth, Long Island.
probably-
Like you would be a terrible serial killer. My wife would be the worst fucking serial killer in the world.
I'd be bad. I'd be a terrible fucking serial killer. I would fuck it up completely.
I'm glad because like all my good friends could not be good serial killers.
That's a good sign.
I don't think.
You think you know so much about true crime you'd be able to pull it off?
No.
Like you would
Dude, how many stains? Look at this. This is from us earlier today. I have stains all over my shirt. No. There's nothing that I've done in my life that has prepared me for pulling off a crime successfully.
You just have so many fluids all over.
I have fluids all the
For a
time.
week. Just bloody sneakers. Because you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I like these sneakers. I don't want to get rid.
Yeah, I mean that time I tried to rob a gas station, I was almost arrested. Let alone, you know, like this guy. But he is also like he looks like a demented Shrek.
Yeah,
This
he
guy.
does. He looks very like. It makes sense. He's from Long. Like he looks like he's from Long Island. Like it's very, very common looking.
It's you know what it looks like. He went to the barber and he's like, "Can I have different styles on each side of my head?" Yeah, like this guy has so much head, dude.
And you know, he's at some country club. Be like, when I killed the first one, like just.
Yeah, I don't think he's. Yeah, I think it's probably. Yeah, he probably told. I get it, right? If it's your big life's work, you want to probably.
He probably like drunken because he looks like he drinks. He probably drunkenly like would make jokes about it with waitresses or something. He'd be like, "Better watch out."
Well, some of these girls that said that, like the other escorts, they'd be like, "We think he was it," but he didn't because he would like be like, "Ah, crazy about this Long Island serial killer, huh?" And they would know everything, and they're like, "I think that guy's the Long Island serial
He's like,
killer."
I bet he's got a huge dick.
I bet he's like really handsome,
Handsome.
and he's like a good guitar player.
Yeah, he's the best.
He's got good dance moves.
I bet you he's the best guitar player in the world.
She's like, "Are you sure it's not you?"
He just keeps going even worse. He's got great dance moves. And you'll find out because he has a wedding next week. He's just like keeps giving.
Well, when I had one of the things that I don't think I've ever talked about this show. Maybe I did once, but one of the things that got annoyed when I had my script deal with Peacock, the other person who had the deal was his wife. Got paid like $1 million just to have the cameras follow her, you know, like to courtroom. But I was always laughing. I was like, man, fucking Long Island serial killer's wife's going to get a show on the air way before I'm going to get a show on the air. But
She's high up in the algorithm, dude.
I mean, you know, like her wife is, of course,
she's
a living
screwed.
nightmare.
I know you can see why she would do it. That I actually agree with because she's going to be like, I got to take care of my family.
How else are you going to make money?
Exactly.
She'll be lucky if she gets an overnight job somewhere.
Right, but if hey, they're giving her $1 million and then she writes a book about I'm living with the killer, then fuck them. Who cares? Then
just get out. I think that yes, I think you're totally right. And she's, you know, if you know anything about the case, his murders line up with her LARPing events. She was a LARPer, live action role player. So she was at these.
She becomes homeless.
She was at these Red fairs, like dancing as an elf, while this guy was just murdering fucking sex workers in the beaches of Long Island. He'd be like, "When are you going? What weekend?"
She imagines they're like she's like he didn't kill me because I put an everlasting life spell on myself. I picked up some magic stones from Roanoke, Virginia.
Maybe all these women looked like elves or something. I don't know.
Maybe his frustration that his wife was so fucking lame, he starts murdering.
I love it. We found a way to blame this still on the woman. The Long Island serial killer. We know it's a man. We know the women he's killed, and we're still like probably his wife's fault.
Yeah, but if your wife,
well, if she'd fucked him more.
Yeah, if your wife is going to these events, like it's like finding out your wife's a Disney adult in secret or something.
That's
like
that.
Tough. Yeah, I would just blame her no matter what. But so is he done? Is his trial done?
No, it hasn't started yet. No, the reason it hasn't started because there's so much evidence. You know, like they keep finding more evidence.
And he's just not going to plea. How do you not plea?
I think he's saying. I think he's not pleading. I think he's gonna go not guilty. I don't fucking know, dude.
Another Long Island thing.
Yeah, dude, I have no
fucking
fucking idea, man. I do not have any idea, like, how that works, you know?
As far as what? Because he has a lawyer. He had a bunch of money, so he has a lawyer that's like, hey, I can. At least we go to trial. Like, there's no way they're gonna get. That's the thing. You only go to trial.
He doesn't have a
things.
ton of money though. He doesn't have like that kind of
money. That's not like fuck you money, but like he doesn't go to trial. You only go if they can get you off, and that's not happening.
I mean, maybe he's doing it by reason of insanity. I don't fucking know how this guy isn't just. I mean, if I was him, I'd have done what the Wichita killer did. You know, Dennis Rader, BTK, where that first day, if you've seen, he like gets to court and he's just like, all right, here's all the murders. And it's online. It's like 50 minutes. He goes through every single one of his murders. First day in court. So you guys got me. Here's how each one of them went down.
Really?
47 minutes. Emotionless.
Yeah.
Cold. Just very detailed. With the mustache.
Yeah.
And he really says, he goes, yeah, then I strangled her with a nylon rope. No, it was a retractable rope. Like, that's how he does it, you know? Like,
yeah.
like,
oh my God. And this guy, they
very similar personality.
Just like Richard Allen, they were looking for him for years as well.
Years and years and years.
How many was it? Do you know offhand?
Well, this is from 2003, so.
Oh my God.
Yeah, about almost 20 years.
Holy shit.
And what even sadder, the one woman, they did a Lost Girls, that Netflix show about, and it was played by. She was in Gone Baby, no, like Gone Baby Gone.
Hilary
I think.
Swank?
No, she's the white woman. She was in The Wire. McNulty's love interest, season 4.
Oh, the one. Which one? The one
he ends up with. The girl he ends up.
Oh, Amy
Adams.
Not Amy Adams.
Amy Ryan.
Amy Ryan.
She's
married to a comic. She's married to Eric. Yeah.
She plays the mother of one of these, and she had a tortured relationship with the daughter, and she ended up in real life getting shot to death by her other daughter, who was mentally ill.
Really?
So she wasn't able to see any of the daylight in this case.
Oh my God!
Because she was killed. I'm like, what a fucking tragic ass life. You spend your life looking for your daughter's killer, and then you're killed by your other daughter.
Jesus!
What a fucking luck of the draw.
That sucks. It's like, what'd you do in your past? What'd you do in your past? Your past
Again,
life?
we're finding a way to blame the woman. Well, maybe she had fucked him more. I don't know.
But so this guy's trial didn't even start yet. So, and also this guy's like, he had 20 years of free reign with this stuff, which is insane to me. Like, because he's what? Is he 60 now? I don't know how old he is.
He's late 50s, early 60s.
Right. The thing, it's like, I don't even. It just seems exhausting. With all the things I have to go into doing this, like being a serial killer, besides all of like the morality and all that, wouldn't you just be like, so he worked all day as whatever, fine, whatever it was.
I mean, luckily we can't put ourselves in that position. Like, I'm trying to think, and I'm like, no, I'm having a hard time. Well, why am I having a hard time? Because I don't fucking think about killing random people.
I'm joking, but I mean, like, it's also a thing. It's like I don't want to do anything. I wouldn't want to do anything after work.
It's a lot of work to be a successful serial killer. But you know, they say that, but a lot of these guys that get away with, like, one of the biggest body counts, Gary Ridgway, Green River Killer, it was like 49 people. And the reason that he was getting away with it is because they were black prostitutes. You know, there was nothing.
Right.
He was just he was killing
That's a big one.
the least protected in our society.
Yeah.
They go like Henry Zabrowski talks about the less dead. You know, like so that's why a lot of these guys pick off sex workers, because it's like, well, sex workers don't have a home, right?
Well, that's
the
great Patrice bit when he talks about Natalie Holloway's kill, that guy Jordan Vandersloot.
Yeah.
And he's like, what was the other girl's name? She's like. He just happened like 6 months ago. I was like, that's from the special.
That's right.
And then nobody knows. And he's like, exactly. They knew. They go, what was the first girl in there? Natalie Holloway. And then he asked the second one that just happened, and nobody knows. And he goes,
nobody
exactly.
Has any idea. He's free. I think he's in like a really white. He's married again, and as a kid, he's like a
Jordan Vandersloot.
Yeah, like in whatever prison he's in now. Like it's not a bad prison. I saw some Peacock special.
Wow.
Big
news.
Big news in serial killing. We're not done with the serial killer section.
We're doing a lot of true crime today.
A lot of true crime. Well, we found out the identity of Jack the Ripper with 100% DNA accuracy.
Yeah.
That Jack the Ripper, my friend, is Aaron Kaminsky,
and he was one of the
Polish
suspects.
barber.
Yeah. He was one of the suspects back in the day, but the cops could just never nail him completely. They found it because a guy at an auction got a shroud that was from one of the scenes, and there was blood in the shroud, but then there was also male DNA on the shroud. But they're like, that probably came from semen, and it was this guy.
It was him?
And it was him.
You know, back in the day, because he was a barber, and I was like...
Yeah.
I was like, barber. I was like,
the
the difference between like a barber and a doctor then was probably like a year of school. You know, like, so maybe he was like, he didn't spend that extra year being
he's like, I was either going to be an alchemist or a barber or a doctor.
But yeah, you know, like this news came out, it probably is him. And this is like the JFK. This is exactly what's happening with JFK. Once we finally get the facts, it's going to be like 100 years later. Be like, oh, all right, well, that's what it was.
You'll be almost dead. But also, the video I saw on this was News Nation. And I should say, News Nation is a very big proponent of the UFO developments.
Hey, Ross is going to be on our show.
No, it's great. I actually love News Nation.
I love News Nation.
But the woman was doing this one. She was like, and Kaminsky was a barber, so you know he was good with a blade. I'm like,
all right, settle down, lady. You're getting so wet, you're slipping out of your seat right now. Yeah, but apparently it was, you know, that is Jack the Ripper, real nasty motherfucker. My dad wrote a musical, Jack's Holiday, about Jack the Ripper. I don't know any songs.
Did you look into the case at all, like for the musical?
I made up a song from it, and I realized it's not in it, and I just was singing it when I was a kid. It was just Jack the Ripper. That's it.
Now you can go Aaron
Kaminsky.
Yeah, and also Jack the Ripper sounds so much better than Aaron the Ripper. that just sucks. That just sounds like he's a rollerblader or something.
I was a little disappointed with Aaron Kaminsky. Just the name doesn't sound great.
It doesn't sound. It's not as like romantic as Jack the Ripper, and it's also a thing where how many different. I think there was over the years, almost like Zodiac. There was so many suspects.
Yeah.
So for it to be that guy, where it's like
they thought it was
Aaron.
Lee Harvey Oswald at one point. Yeah. No, they
just bounced around.
It was, but it's one of those that I guess because it was like the first real unsolved serial killing that gripped the nation.
And but it was almost like a Son of Sam thing for them back when it was happening.
Yeah, it was
right.
big
Like
news.
the whole town, London was on edge. Right.
I haven't seen From Hell about it,
I haven't seen From Hell either. That's Johnny Depp, right?
Johnny Depp, before he went total Candyland character.
He was pre pirate Johnny Depp.
I was watching Johnny Depp and Ed Wood. Man, it's such a great movie.
He's great in that. He's great. He's really good. He's like dramatic Mike Myers because he does.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like some guys just act that way. Like because there's only one Mike Myers movie where it's So I Married an Ex-Murder where he's himself.
He's himself there.
And then everything else is
not a good movie, but
I think it's pretty funny.
Yeah,
well, I think it's funny the head of the scene with the kid and the grandpa. He plays the dad. He plays the character in it, but he also plays like just a regular guy.
I totally forget that movie now. Like.
And I kind of had a crush on Nancy Travis. She was kind of like cute. She was like,
was that the blonde?
Yeah.
That he thought was he thought was an expert, or turned out to be her.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to blow it. Well, big news in South Carolina. We got our first inmate in I think since the 70s has requested execution by firing squad. Can we get this gentleman's name?
Is this because he requested it, right?
Brad Sigmund, yes. And the reason it's not because he's a badass. It's because the cocktail that they used for lethal injection, the last few guys really tortured the guys before they died.
Oh, I've heard of that happening.
Yeah, like I'm like, oh, that's so badass. But then hearing the full story, I'm like, I would totally pick pick being shot.
Didn't they have to change the language of the sentence because of that happening? Where they were like with the result of death, instead of it just being like you're being subjected to execution by chemical, whatever. Because if you survive one of those treatments and you live, shouldn't it kind of be like, hey, I lived. You gave me the prerequisite, and they had to change it to with the result of it has to result in death. I think they changed the words because I could be wrong about it. I could be making that up, but
I think if you want to increase revenue for a place like South Carolina, You should be able to pay to shoot somebody in this firing
I
squad.
think they're about 2 weeks from this.
Yeah, if you donate $50,000 to the town, you can be one of the firing squad. We have so many guns. Let's put those guns to work, guys.
Let's be honest. If you know somebody who works at the jail or you're related to them, they'll probably just have you come down and take a couple shots.
Like, well, I don't get a lot of benefits working here, but let me tell you, the bring your daughter to work day, very interesting. It's very interesting here. Very interesting.
Now, honey, be careful.
So, inmate, he's gonna be sitting on the chair, targeting an inmate's chest.
Oh,
3 corrections on for. This seems very peaceful compared to lethal injection.
see, and also the reason they do that is so you don't know which one kills him. They do it with the chemicals too, and with the like it has to be where multiple things do it, so you don't know which one did it. I think that's the reasoning.
Yeah, well, they're 3 corrections employee volunteers. Of course, volunteers.
South Carolina.
That must suck if you work at it. Be like, oh wait, they're giving it to a volunteer.
One guy gets there, he's like, oh, he's white. Forget it.
Call me back when it's a pedophile. The only reason I want to be here.
But also, this seems very anticlimactic. Inmate sitting in chair.
It's Pussy's death in The Sopranos.
Yeah, it totally is.
It really is.
Not in the face, okay?
Not in the face.
Not in the face. That's a great
Pat,
scene.
Our esteemed producer, how would you want to go, capital punishment wise?
I'd probably want to be fed to death.
Fed to death?
Yeah,
Like the movie Seven. Like the movie Seven.
I think that would be very painful.
Yeah. Well, poison food would be okay. Just my favorite food.
That'd make you sick too.
My favorite food, just poison.
Oh.
I'll say it right now. Fentanyl. It's supposed to be awesome.
What to go?
Fentanyl? Oh, yeah. It's like an amazing fucking... It's like heroin times 100.
Oh, is that what?
That's why.
That's why you die on it.
Yeah, dude. These kids. When I was in rehab, the kids that are on fentanyl now. No generation is parties as much as Pat's like not even Pat's. 5 years younger than Pat. Like 25. Like from 15 to 25. Those kids are doing like end of life drugs, which is like
really?
Yeah. It's pretty insane. But
they're not drinking. They're just doing this shit.
They don't drink as much. They do edibles and then they do
fentanyl.
like fucking fentanyl and shit.
Wait. But you
and
can't.
Benzos.
That would actually be interesting if South Carolina was like you get to choose the way that you like act any way. Like isn't there only a couple of choices? It's like firing squad, the chemicals, or and there's no more electric chairs. But
releasing me to death. You try to like find a genie loophole.
Hey, just open the doors and see what happens.
Ooh, how do I want to die? Finding new compelling evidence. That's how I want you to die. Well, that was our show. That was a full show, right, Pat?
Yeah, it was a full show. Dan, you can always tell Dan gets a little tuckered out. Use the last 5 minutes.
Well, I'm wild and healthy. So I don't think you have to be Inspector Cousteau. When I had to say before the podcast, am I sweating, Sean? Am I sweating? I know I used an elevator, but am I sweating?
Guys.
But hey, we have a Patreon coming out in April. We're doing one of our you're getting Mac and me. We got a review of the most ridiculous alien movie of all time. I'm going to say this. I'm just fucking going to make you, and I'm going to make you do it too, Pat, because I just had to watch it.
What?
So we're going to do this on Patreon. We're doing fucking Communion for Patreon.
Okay,
That's the Christopher Walken movie. Have you seen it?
No, it's bad. I know it's bad. I saw it. It's a long time ago, I think.
It is. I just saw it. And he's playing a writer because Whitney Strieber's a writer, and he's trying to play Woody Allen. Christopher Walken's trying to be Woody Allen. It is so cringy, but the end of it's so ridiculous and so much fun.
Yeah, guys, the Patreon's coming out. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Burbs Bros on YouTube. Right?
Here's another Patreon we're doing, which you can check. I don't know when this one's coming out, but we're doing one right after we record this called Questions to Keep You Up at Night. Some of the scariest supernatural and existential questions Sean and I have
We also should
pondered.
Do either on a regular episode. Agent Disclosure comes out when? You didn't get a chance to see it yet, right?
I have some secret news. My manager,
got a copy?
finger crossed, may be distributing it, which means that I could be getting a copy very soon. Which means I will send.
I can see.
I will be paying for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have not. It's the only Instagram story I've ever written where I was like, "Can anyone tell me where to get this?" And somebody messaged back who I know is I was like, "Well, that's you're clearly lying.
Making
But
this up,
yeah, you're
yeah.
clearly making this up.
There was.
He's
I
like,
also,
no, man, it's just type of fire stick you got to use. I was like, this is not.
I also have I got a voice note on Instagram that we'll play, and maybe we'll do it for a Patreon or the next episode.
That's another thing. Please leave the messages on our Burbs Bros Instagram. Follow us on there. We're going to be doing. We're definitely going to be doing some question answer episodes soon. So,
but if you guys have any experiences, we want to start playing them over the podcast, and I already got a couple of them from some fans of the show. So we're either the next episode or one of the Patreons. We're going to be going over that.
I'm reading Dr. John Mack's book, Abduction. And
Yeah.
I was telling you, I'm at the chunk where it's just all guys fucking aliens, just leaving those ships, just empty of cum. Every single one.
Everything comes down to sex.
Everything. And then hey, look, I got free specials online. Sean's got
I have a
free special online.
Yep. And I also
Follow me on YouTube. Follow us on YouTube.
It is coming week. I will be at Saratoga Springs at the Comedy Works, and then in April, Illinois. I'm coming to Illinois. Tell everybody you know that lives there to come see me at the Comedy Vault in Illinois.
Oh, I heard that place is fun.
It's great. I've been there a couple times. It's an amazing club. Thank you so much to Pat. Thank you guys for listening. Spread the word, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.